Right now, Winston Peters has issued a press. He's in Rome at the moment, by the way, been in France or something else, now doing a bilateral in Rome with the Italians. But he's issued a press statement overnight in conjunction with the UK, with the Norwegians, with the Australians, with a bunch of other countries, banning two of Israel's most senior ministers from different parties from Netanyahu, but in Netanyahu's cabinet. Israel's finance minister and national security minister will both be banned from travel to New Zealand because of what Winston Peters says is inciting violence and forced displacement of Palestinians. Some of their language, and it dates back a couple of years. I had a look this morning. They talk about wiping entire Palestinian towns off the map. So these are not nice comments by any stretch, though they have been around for some time. And curiously, overnight, these countries have decided to actually do something about it. So here to discuss this and a whole bunch of other stuff is Green Party co-leader Chloe Swarbrick. Good morning.
Morena.
Good to have you on the program. And ACT Party Minister Karen Shaw. Good morning.
Morning.
Good to have you here representing the other side. So, Chloe, does this satisfy you in some way that our governments aren't taking action?
Our government has effectively sat on its hands for the last 18 months while thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of innocent people who have been made refugees in their own land are mercilessly carpet bombed. There is so much more that we can do here. If we're to look at the sanctions that have been applied against these two individuals and the logic that Winston Peters is using, that could be extended to many other members of this cabinet and indeed the Israeli parliament. So what the government can and should do is apply the exact same logic that it did against Russia and the unlawful occupation and invasion into Ukraine and apply that same logic with my members bill.
That's what he says he's doing, Karen. He says that this is exactly what we did to the Russians, same as we did to the Belarusians, and same as Myanmar.
Yeah, and I think it's the right thing to do. I mean, New Zealand's always supported a two-state solution, and these two particular members of the Israel government are egregiously leading the way to not working towards that two-state solution. It's absolutely appalling what they stand for, and we need to send a clear message that we don't agree with what they're up to.
Is it curious, though, that you've got these guys who've said things about wiping off entire villages, but then
they're not alone.
But also what's happening there, you know what I mean? I mean, there's talking about it, but then actually the bombing is pretty much having that effect on...
But then, I mean, particularly in the West Bank, there was a vast majority of the Israeli parliament who voted in favour of those motions, which, sure, these two guys might be the most egregious examples of in terms of their rhetoric, but this is a systematic issue. And I guess this is my question as the Greens and as a member of the opposition for our government, and perhaps potentially just directly for Karen. What is the difference between what Russia did, whereby we applied those systematic sanctions, and what Israel is doing here?
So look, we've got a Foreign Affairs Minister that is kept up to date on these issues, and we rely on our Foreign Affairs Minister to make sure that we're doing the right thing. And I absolutely agree with what he's done here, and we'll continue to keep an eye on what's happening over there. And I would encourage everybody to just look at this situation and remember that New Zealand has always supported a two-state solution.
Yeah. I think the difference, Chloe, is the October 7 attacks, isn't it? I mean, that's the difference between the two, that one side went after the other first. Well, so there was a lot, do you know what I mean? Like that changed the political...
I mean, you could make that same argument about 76 years ago when the Nakba occurred and 750,000 Palestinians were forcibly displaced from their own land. But this is kind of the point that I'm getting to, Ryan, is that if we're to constantly say tit for tat, well, someone's allowed to effectively try and wipe someone else out because something else happened, we're in a pretty awful place.
Right. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that I think would be the main difference between the two.
I don't think at this point that argument holds any weight whatsoever. We're watching a genocide live streamed